Okay, we are recording. We have 5 items on the topics list so far. Does anyone have anything to add to that?
Hey, can you hear me? This is Mark Savage.
Hi, Mark.
What's going on? Yeah, so I think personally, if there's like a loose layout, a loose kind of backbone to like tasks that need to be handled every month or the first 3 months, then, I know me personally, I can work with just immediate goals, immediate needs for the project as a whole. And if there are like a shared vision, then we can say, okay, how can we reach it each week? What are we doing each month? What do we need to do? How can we have forward progress?
Yeah, I think there's a general problem there. The immediate problem is that before our weekly meeting, we need people to step up to the plate and make a copy of the meeting template in the document and take on certain roles. Last week I didn't do anything and we didn't have a meeting. A couple people showed up, and but there wasn't. Don't think. But if if people step up to the plate to if somebody sets up the template, they put their or whatever.
Jim, what about Tony Prisca? Is she not doing it?
Not lately. I've done it for many weeks, for a number of weeks. But you can see who did it because it shows setup who did it. Okay, and then
I see.
Okay, then we can give credit, and it's sort of subjective as to what percentage of the work or the meetings was done by people, and they'll get a
Jim, if you want to DM Tony, that would be fine. And if nobody else volunteers, I will. But I think Tony or maybe somebody new might want to do that.
Yeah.
Hey, if you're not talking, can you mute your mic, please? Thank you.
And I guess we need to, if we're going to operate as a community and do things, have activities going on, like participating in marketing, participating in programming, and we're going to do it in an organized fashion. We have to task, and I was thinking that maybe we need to start using the bounty system again. And
Jim, do you have any information that I don't on the status of the bounty system? I know that last month there was one bounty claim that was a development claim.
Well, currently,
but as far as I know, that's the only bounty that was done last month.
Yeah, well, the bounty system has sort of been. I mean, what was it? Rewards.RChain.coop is no longer operating. We're still operating rewards test, but that's not tied to the real database, so to speak. It would take some work, and to get the bounty system running again. And
Well, I think in terms of getting it running, that's manageable. I know how to do that or who to contact, but I'm not sure that there's been a movement to reignite the bounty system. So that's what I was asking is, do you have any information about that?
Yeah, I think that we might consider that in the longer term. And for now, we can have these meeting tasks as being examples of micro tasks that need to be done. Announcing the meeting in Discord, all these little things. I mean,
Yeah, I think if we simplify it, then a lot more people can join in and have access. So me personally, I think so. Basically, we post a task or what needs to be done, and then the entire co-op they can reply. Okay, I want to join in, or I want to do this, I want to do that. Then there can either be a vote or whoever replies first. Okay, you have to handle the task, and we can have 2 or 3 people assigned to a simple task. And then we have the bounty or the reward. This is what you'll get when you complete your task. I think if there's a simplified version for that, that'll be amazing. Now, obviously, we'll need 1 or 2 people to review. Say, okay, here are the reviewers who's reviewing the article you made, the video you did, or your work. And then once it's approved, then they get the allocation of the reward.
Yeah. Now, if somebody is willing to help organize that.
I mean, I would be open to helping organize that. I would.
Are you in the collab?
I am. Yep, I'm a member. I'm in a collab. I've been almost 1.5 years now. And so my whole thing is I already do marketing in the crypto blockchain space, and for a lot of my clients, I tell them what I need so I can do my job. And I know simplicity is key. You definitely need people on board who can work and do things. I usually use Trello. With Trello, just make simple tasks, have the cards, what needs to be done.
Yeah, well, GitHub has the same functionality. You just may have to get used to it. One more thing to learn. I mean, it's worth learning because so many projects use it.
Okay. What was it called?
GitHub.
GitHub. Oh yeah. So I use GitHub.
It has, it supports the Kanban boards and such. And if you want to, you can enhance it with ZenHub, which gives you more functionality. But it's sort of duplicate functionality because GitHub does most of it all by itself.
That's true. I guess my preference is Trello.
Taiga, which is very powerful also. But, and to some extent, if somebody's willing to do the work, we should use the tool they're using. But since we're using GitHub already, it makes sense to use that. But,
okay, so if someone
contact me, direct message me, whatever. You could enter something in work study. You have to, I guess, build your team.
Yeah, build a core team. So I mean, if I might not have the work to rebuild it in GitHub, if someone can do that, then I can help manage and do the operations, the weekly operations, monthly operations for it.
So we should, devote one of the work studies to setting this up, and we should do it together.
Okay, so should we make a date for that, like this weekend, or how soon?
Uh, I'm flexible. You know, is there anyone else you would want to cooperate with? You should have a buddy system. Should be somebody working with you on this. And now I can participate, I can advise, but I got too many things going. And I'm really absorbed in programming in macro Rolang at present. And of course, I've got responsibilities with Big Life as well.
Yeah.
Behind.
Hey, Jim, one of the questions that I have, someone mentioned something about a 10,000, was it a rocks budget or a 10,000? Like, what are we hoping to accomplish with the current price? What are we hoping to accomplish with that amount of money?
Well, I mean, that's currently an issue. I mean, right now, we're distributing that on the basis of sort of a collaborative budgeting system. Which is sorry here, I'm looking it up. I'll get back to that. The work may come in. It's not. We're not paying, I guess, full value, and that's what I wanted to look at right now because I can show you what the rewards were for November, December. What is it? I can't. I have to go back and find it. How we're going to do it is to be decided. How we're going to distribute it, but I think we may have 40,000 rock left, or about that. So if our spend rate is 10,000 a month, before we get any more sponsorship, that gives us 4 months of 10,000 rocks. If you look at the exact number, but
yeah,
it's an open question how we're going to fund it. The way we've been doing it, if I can find it, which it should be in the pin to the Discord channel. That's funny. Doesn't seem to be pinned. So we look at each category of member activity, and we give a budget which we estimate as to the value produced in that category. And then we assign percentage of effort to members. And that comes out with, their work was worth X dollars this month. And we can comment in the sheet and, fudge the numbers so that everyone feels that their compensation in dollars would be fair. Okay, then we take that total contribution and give rocks out of the 10,000 rocks for the percentage of the total budget, the total spending, or the total value produced that month. So if $10,000 worth of value was produced, then they essentially get one rock for a dollar. So they're not getting paid, it's getting, at the current cost of rocks, they're getting paid less. This is not something that's set in stone. This is, a mechanism which I basically came up with to give people credit for their work. And if the rock is worth a lot in a few years, it'll pay off. For things that are needed to be done, we could institute some kind of micropayment thing where we give them a certain amount in rock or ETH. We have a little bit of ETH. But we're really hoping to get outside sponsorship for some of the activities.
Fair enough. Yeah, someone posed in this kind of where my head was at. 100x difference from 1 penny to $1. And yeah, no, I mean, there's certainly you can have the assumption that in the future it'll go up significantly, which is I think what we all hope. But at the same time, if someone's putting in lots and lots of time for work, and then I don't know, it's just something to calculate into the equation. But
yeah,
not to say we shouldn't.
I think maybe maybe we'll continue to do that, as well as offer some micro payment tasks.
Sure.
A specific amount for a specific job that's more reasonable. I just hate to spend our rock at today's price.
Yeah,
don't we all?
I think if there's any way to get something that we can demo or go live with, or strategic partnerships, because some companies I work with, either they're out of funds or they just need assistance or whatever they need. There's other either companies or investors out there that say, okay, I see where the project's headed, or I see the vision. Or they want some stake in the company, invest a certain amount. So if there's other ways to, raise funds if we need more funding, as well as, partnerships for brand awareness, development, and any way we can test or use anything or show anything.
Okay, so we'll schedule a meeting on rewards and microtest or whatever. And you'll take the lead on that, Mark?
Yes. Let's do it. Let's schedule a meeting, and I can take the lead on that.
And you, who do you suggest as a co-lead?
Cool.
We got to organize from the bottom up. This is how we get collective intelligence, the buddy system, the 4 eyes rule.
Yes, that's true. Let me see. What's the main room that everyone talks in? There's a few rooms.
Well, there's general about work study business. I like to put that in work study.
Work
But
study.
general channel is, for announcements and general stuff.
Okay, so what I can do is I'll post something in the general, in the marketing. Also, I'll go into a few rooms to see who can be a co-lead as far as this next step. Yeah, I can do that.
And, the budget's small, so we have to think about what are the things that we need to do as a community in order to be coherent. And we need somebody that people have to step up to the task, or we have to spend our funds for them to get them done.
I mean, because on my end, I have, I have like this one company, Robot, I'm going to be working with. It's okay, like, so all I need is a clear vision. So, okay, here's what they're building. Here's when it's rolling out. Here's when people can use it. And here's the functionality, the technologies behind what's happening. So for RChain, it's just I need to get my hands on something like, okay, here's the steps, or, we had the countdown to Mercury. And I'm like, okay, for 2019, what are we rolling out, or what are the development stages of RChain?
Well, there's bounties for a number of tasks, mostly in Rolang.
Okay.
Okay, and I think if somebody was, if we got somebody to be the lead for each of the bounties,
Gotcha.
to talk to people, try to get the work coordinated toward delivering that bounty. I mean, in some cases, who's working on it has already been assigned.
Yeah.
Okay, and in which case, you want to contact them on Discord and say, how's it going? Do you need help?
Gotcha.
Try to find somebody to help them, or whatever, so that we can deliver all those things. And those are the things the bounties are there for. Are things that the co-op thinks is important enough to pay for, despite the budget restrictions.
I see.
If we can coordinate to get these things delivered, then people will get paid for them, and we won't have to spend so much of our, of our sponsored funds. Maybe, I don't know.
I mean, I agree on getting to these developers, getting to the bounties, getting Rolang as complete as possible. I think it's the best practice to have a working prototype or just a working platform that anyone can go and tinker around with. Say, okay, I can help out. You get more people now that want to help out, pull in, and then the marketing will follow. But I believe in investing in the technology first.
All right. Anything else on that? Okay, we have development status. Ned couldn't make it today. He will be at the debrief. Hopefully we'll get an update on the debrief on the status. I don't know if anyone here is up to date on the status. If you have specific questions, you might be able to answer them. And we had we know there's been some Rolang enhancements. We know they're working on getting their finalizing the test cases for Mercury. And we know we're going to get a report in an hour. Identity. Um, I don't know if anyone here wants to discuss Greg's paper, the idea of channels.
Yeah, yeah,
Channel
Jim,
identity.
I thought that was really interesting stuff, but I wasn't really clear where that was going.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't sure whether they were really going for an overarching holistic identity system, which is a huge thing. You know, the number of use cases you've got, the complexities in there. You know, an identity system is a massive thing. So I really wasn't clear whether that was where Greg is really going with that. I can see eventually, but where are we going with this thing in the initial case? Great thinking about it, but yeah. I mean, the channels-based approach, maybe you could see it for something, maybe early use, find the use case around looking at identity risk. You know, you've got an identity system, and then you then take a look at it from the lens of the channel communications and say, hey, something's not quite right here. You know, these supposed personas in this identity, in this traditional identity system, whether it's centralized or decentralized, you know, they aren't quite who they say they are. It doesn't stack up with the nature of the communications going through the channels. I could see that as a really, really exciting use, but trying to do the whole damn thing, it seems a bit terrifying. And then it gives me to think, well, what about? And then there's this talk about, you know, the digital, the passport under RChain, or rather the what's it called, the creative passport thing, and the identity. Some I thought I heard some comment about using the code that was that as the basis of an identity system, and of course, where I thought we were talking about Life ID as our key sort of, if you like, identity partner in that, and I thought we were going to be talking about moreover not just the Life ID part of it, but looking at the stuff around identity standards, like
Could you explain just for a second what it would be to take our song and turn that into an identity product? I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with it.
No, I'm not sure it was our song. I think it was. I think it was mentioned. I think this was on our song call, that the stuff that the creative passport, which is the thing that Mycelia had been working on, was going to be used or in some way ported.
Yeah,
so that was the.
I think I can answer that. There's the framework around our song, which is a content delivery mechanism, which has associated with it identity of the artists and the listeners, etc. And this framework doesn't have to be used for content delivery. It can be used for anything. I think that's the point of using our song as a model for applications. I know Ned was very supportive of that. Ned said he was going to be here. Oh no, he's going to be at the next meeting. Sorry.
But I mean, the level of identification for artists and consumers is like way super lower than than the kind of thing that an identity system.
Right. And well,
exactly. That was my concern, really.
I think to some extent, Greg's really did a with his channel-based identity, did the idea of an emergent identity, and it's based on capabilities. And really, in RChain, that's what channels are capabilities. I mean, if you have a channel, you can send something on it. And if there's something listening on that channel, it's going to do something. The way that we're implementing most capabilities on RChain is by providing an unforgeable name, which may be stored in a data locker, Dan's new locker contract, for example. These are channel capabilities. Now, in the simple case, Greg was showing, well, if I can send an email to this person and I can have a chat with this person, okay, I have a reinforcement there of that, because, that this is an identity because I have this two capabilities that can be proven to this person. Is a trivial example in that he's looking at how people in a role can emerge as a collective identity, which is way beyond any of the life ID goals or what was the other one? So
Creative Passport, the mycelia thing.
We have the authentication part of it basically, which currently we have RChain, where we can sign messages with a private key, and we're creating sovereign identities, I hope, for everything we do, which means that each person can use a different identity solution. They have the flexibility. There'll never be a day when everybody uses the same identity solution. And you just can't exclude the rest of the world that doesn't use your identity solution.
No, that's right. But I thought, Jim, we were working with DID for that. The DID Foundation. That
absolutely. I mean, I'm creating personal DID directories or team DID directories with the draft contracts I'm developing. Where it'll be a hierarchical thing, where you have a DID, RChain.com /members / Discord ID or something.
And then resolution.
I see. It's a decentralized directory. You're not using any one DID service. You're using Life ID will have their DID service, and you can store your identity document, which contains your list of services that you use to expose your identity, which may or may not be the standard ones that Life ID would provide or whatever.
Yeah. So this is DID. So if you like native DID resolution capabilities, there is a plan then to build that.
Yeah, I don't know
on chain.
Global DID provider. I mean, the DID directories are decentralized. I'm not sure I would be in favor of a global one.
but I suppose so. Did resolution though on
Right.
on chain?
I choose my DID resolver.
Right.
And it's chosen
Yeah.
form. And it
Yeah.
links to the other DID providers depending on what
Yeah.
the DID is.
And they have their own resolvers on their own platforms. But we have a plan somehow to build that, do we? Because it's just
I think it's implied in the standard to some extent, but I don't think everybody's thinking about it being as decentralized as it is intended to be. I think it's decentralized identifiers. So the directory is decentralized. There is no central directory.
no, they're pairwise, and yeah, they are. It's just a convention for the way that they're formatted in that sense. But there has to be some overarching, for interoperability of identity and external. We do need some degree of standards conformance.
Yeah. You need
it's knowing how much of this is actually as part of the platform, is being embedded in the core of the platform. How much is being, if you like, bolted on by, if you like, chosen ecosystem partners like Life ID.
Yeah.
Or apparently, or potentially the and the usability aspects of that, the toolkit which goes with it. Where's that going to, so we've got a number of choices there. I just wanted to really know what the current thinking is, and then if there's some decision making to be had around that, if that's going to be discussed anywhere, and where, if so, where those sorts of discussions take place, because it's sometimes it's a bit hard to work that out, because I think I get it, and I start to write stuff about it, get excited about it, and then realize, oh, hang on a minute, it's all changed. I better shut up.
Yeah, the effort, bring BYOID, bring your own identity effort, which has gotten sort of stagnant at present, but is the basic idea of certainly what I'm doing in the collab. And I'm not looking at developing any identity solution really. I'm looking at supporting them all. Okay.
Okay. It's the nature of what that support is, I suppose. It's what the API is, if you like.
The standards should allow us to support any identity provider a user wants to use, and heaven forbid if they want to use Facebook as their identity provider, they can do that. They have a Facebook Open ID or a Google ID, which they can use. But Greg's basic philosophy has been, you are what you do and say, and this links to work in the social ledger is what you do and say, and the unifying all your tools into a single skeleton and channels. So, there's identity.
Okay, that helps. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, with the voting contracts, you have a data locker. Okay, which has all your stuff, and right now it's using Discord to create toy private and public keys, but obviously you would control that with using the RChain application to sign messages to really prove who you were, and perhaps have Discord manage them for demo applications. Very convenient, as the real graphical interfaces for these applications are being developed. So we're trying to connect your Discord identity and your GitHub identity and your RChain identity and your Google identity into a composite identity.
But you're doing that in a privacy respecting way.
Right. Well, that's the idea. I mean, the privacy isn't built into the social ledger prototype as it stands, but it's pretty well supported by the portal and, within the community. But it's more about working out loud than it is about keeping things private. Okay, the way we're making it is that individually, you can keep things private. You can share them with other individuals. Communications in the team create team-owned information, which is exposed to the domain and the community as according to the rules of the individuals and what the teams can, the policies of the team in terms of what was exposed. And that's the challenge as I see it. Anything else
Okay.
on any other identity issues, questions, comments? Member voting. I was hoping somebody could tell us the status of the graphical interface for the voting on RChain. There's really two things that we had here. One was the poll master, which is a voting system in Discord, okay, where we give a command starting with exclamation point. Now, I don't know why this doesn't show them all. I was sure there was one let's poll. I don't know what, oh, let's poll, yeah. So we can do poll info. Let's poll. And we can see that we can create a poll, and the poll can have whatever options we want to give to it. This is, we can say what roles, what Discord roles, like we can restrict it to member roles. We can give weights to votes, like if a sock puppet role would get 0, okay? Of course, a sock puppet may not be allowed to, but may not be a member, like may not have a member role. We can have anonymous polls. We can set deadlines. I think Ian was suggesting that, why not just use the why not just use reactions. So we could use a thumbs up or whatever. And this has certain problems. Well, for one thing, it's not anonymous, so we can't use it. The question is, can we use this for official voting? And I think that it's probably the best thing to use, since Discord is our official channel, and it's the place where we know with authority whether somebody's a member or not. And Pollmaster is the best there is. Okay, now at the same time, I've been working on macro rolling. Oh, we got this in place. This centers a little bit because we have Valentine executed the macro pick my lock, and that expands roll line that's defined here. Somebody's echoing. And the locker is where you store your private stuff. Okay, so it defines a macro Valentine locker, which gives the URI of Valentine's locker. Locker nonce has to be incremented every time you use it. It defines that for you to be one. You've accessed it once. It defines your inbox. I'm working on a new inbox contract. Since Dan's simple inbox it doesn't really work for more than one thing. You can't have multiple elections. And I define inbox Valentine so that if I want to send something to his inbox, I know the address. And then I entered the macro allowed to vote Valentine, who just got a brand new locker. They just registered their identity in the flavors poll. And it sent him to his inbox the right to vote. I told him to type vote, and he typed vote flavors to the flavors. I allowed him to vote in flavors poll, and he voted. And Dan modeled this after an Ethereum contract, which is why it's a little bit different than Pollmaster. But I'm thinking what we want to work towards is something that's pretty much gives us the same capability as Pollmaster. So then he voted for vanilla, and we can see he voted for vanilla. And there's some debugging information and stuff here. All of the RChain output comes here from the operation. And then I typed the macro vote results flavors, and it gave us the tally. Strawberry got 1 vote, vanilla got 2 votes. The winner is vanilla. Here I set up a new ballot called colors. I set red, green, blue. Okay, and it created an admin, the chair for me as the chair for the election. And and then here I did an echo instead of an eval. And an echo shows me the definition of new ballot and how it'll be propose how it's executed in the Rolang, and shows me looking up the ballot channel and calling the ballot contract with set red, green, blue, block channel, and then getting back admin capability and a get winner capability, which is show results. Share is the admin capability. And then it looks up my username. And this is a macro supplied by Discord. So whoever typed the command, it will put in their username in the contract. And it opens my locker, it updates my locker, and puts in a colors ballot, and it saves the admin and the results capabilities so that I can then distribute them with the allowed to vote in the case of the dance contracts. And because I access the locker, I have to increase the nonce. So it defines the locker nonce for my username +1 as being the new locker nonce for my username. Thoughts on using Pollmaster for voting and using that as a model for creating the voting on RChain. And really,
Looks great.
Just for voting, it's just for demo and to test the contracts.
Yeah, I think it looks great, Jim. It's great. I mean, I think starting with the really simple stuff, like using the smileys for just testing of rough sentiment, maybe refining the ideas on what needs to be the poll question. Then next step, when you've got an idea of what the question is, then go into Pollmaster for that and do that. And then when something really, really important has to be done, like and particularly anything which is anonymous or secret ballot, then yes, then the on-chain stuff would be great for that. Yeah, I think there's a sort of nice progression there, I think, of really, really easy and simple to use, good functionality for the voting and then later doing stuff on-chain. Or maybe just finish the stuff you're doing on-chain and then basically create the thing which is like Pollmaster, which is the robot-based one.
All right. Does anybody here have any notions of what else is happening with voting on RChain?
Yeah. Ella is the first thing is Ella is using it now to decide the content of the RChain Europe assembly meeting. What topics for that? So there's a channel that she's just set up for that in the RChain Europe server on that, and that's just using the smileys, but which is really simple. But maybe look at the Pollmaster thing and possibly the on-chain stuff for later, and for the meeting itself, maybe.
Right. It's not clear to me why Pollmaster couldn't be used for an official vote until we have something.
No, I agree. Absolutely. Yeah.
Pollmaster does do anonymous voting.
Yeah. I saw that in your list. That looked great. Yeah. I think the only problem then is what's the relationship with Govern, because that's we need to talk to Carl and the guys on Govern to say, just out of courtesy, to say, look, this is what we're doing, what we're looking at. Are you guys interested in this, or how do you think? Where does this leave you?
I was also thinking that the reaction or emocon voting could be enhanced by a robot as well. Maybe not on RChain, but
Yeah.
on RChain. Yeah.
Yeah, it could. I mean, there's two areas there. The first one is the check that they are, I feel like, an authorized, whether they have been KYC'd, and the second one is how do you get a snapshot of whether the vote is significant or not? So a little reporting, just check significance of this vote. What's the voting of proportion of people registered in this channel or using this active in this channel? How many people have voted? So something like that, some stats, a stat bot, something. Now, you can do it manually, but
Oh, it's time for the 2 o'clock meeting. We got to go.
Yeah.
Back to the debrief.
too late for me. I'll catch up tomorrow. Bye.
All right.